right now. Pittsburgh's best sports show is about to begin. Call us or tweet us. We've got things to talk about on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.
All right, thanks a lot, Jess, and thank you for tuning into the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. I'm Rich Walsh. Give us a call tonight at 412-575-2600. I'll be joined by Chris Mueller at the 93.7 The Fan Cam, and there he is. Chris, we have a lot to talk about. I want to get to Aaron Rodgers' interview, but I also want to dive into this T.J. Watt situation. Been in the hospital, stayed in overnight. Obviously, it's a serious situation if you're in the hospital and then you stay overnight for more tests. That makes me think that, you know, he's unlikely to play on Monday. That doesn't happen too often when someone is in the hospital for a couple days and then plays a few days later. I just don't know. I'm trying to figure out, and I know you guys talked about it at length. I was there. What could be the possible scenarios, Chris? I mean, what is going on here that you need to be in the hospital for something like this?
I mean, this is, to be very clear, you know, speculation.
Speculation,
on my part.
Of course,
Just,
yes.
More, I shouldn't even say that. It's speculation, but it's also like an educated guess. There's not too many different forms of treatment that could result in something happening to your lung that is serious enough to warrant a stay overnight in the hospital and possibly even more. The only situation I think many of us are aware of that is even remotely similar or seems remotely similar is Tyrod Taylor getting an injection in, what would it have been, the 2019 season, I guess, and it going wrong, and them, I think, puncturing his lung, if memory serves, and that paving the way for Justin Herbert to start for the Chargers. So that's the only thing I can think of. That's the only thing that makes sense. I obviously don't know. There are HIPAA laws for a good reason, so nobody's going to leak that information unless it's T.J. Watt telling his agent or something like that. But, you know, obviously what's important is that he is ultimately fine from a personal health standpoint. And I really just think, Rich, like, since we do turn this towards sports in a game that is suddenly very important against a team that, by the way, wants to run the ball at you over and over again because that's how they've gotten somehow back into the playoff race, I just don't think there's any reason to expect that T.J. Watt would actually be ready for this game. I know Aaron Rodgers said something like he's not going to count, you know, the last family he would count out to get back from something big or small in a surprisingly fast period of time is the Watts. It just seems really optimistic, bordering on naive to expect him to play Monday.
Yeah, his game status is secondary when you think of things like this. We just all wish him the best, and I know his teammates have talked to him. You heard from Alex Highsmith, who's been in contact with him, and it seems like his spirits are high. But, you know, a lot of people are wondering, you know, I'll be at practice tomorrow. I don't really expect him there. I don't know. We're just all speculating, you know, about his situation right now and, you know, thinking about what it could be. And obviously, I thought of the Tyrod Taylor situation. Does pneumonia put you in hospital for a couple days? I'm not a doctor. I'm not a nurse. I don't play one TV either. You know, you're just thinking of scenarios that, you know, they weren't very specific, the Steelers. So they're just saying lung discomfort.
Well, yeah, and they're not going to be because it's a personal medical issue. It's not an injury that happened on the field. We didn't see like an Achilles tendon roll up. It's something that happened at the facility. That's why you have stuff like the players' union involved, because they need to get involved in situations like this when players are hurt or injured away from the field, because in that sense you're at work, right? I think we all know that being on the field carries with it a massive injury risk, but when you're quote unquote at work, I think that's when the PA gets involved. I will say one of the other things, though, that is better about this situation than any previous one where just for any reason a Steelers player like Watt would miss a game, and I know they're like 1 in 10 and I think maybe a tie or something without him. They have way better depth at the position.
Yeah.
If Highsmith is healthy enough to go, he is a very quality lead guy. Nick Herbig has been, when he's actually been on the field, a menace to opposing quarterbacks. And then a team like the Dolphins, they want to run it at you and they want to do it creatively, but mainly they just want to beat you physically right now. I think a guy like Jack Sawyer is pretty useful as your third linebacker and a guy that can come in as kind of an extra hammer against the run.
Yeah, you don't want to take out T.J. Watt out of your lineup, but I think the Steelers are in much better shape this year than they were in years past to handle the Dolphins, especially the run attack that they have with Achane. And you can scan our QR code on the right-hand corner of your screen, our Penn West live poll question tonight. Do you think the Steelers will be able to stop Achane on Monday? Most of the people say no, 96%. But He was limited at practice today. He has a rib injury, and he's going to have to wear some kind of protection if he plays.
Yeah, Achane wearing something like a flak jacket or some kind of rib protection merely turns him into one of the 10 fastest players in the NFL instead of one of the 2 or 3 fastest players. He's lethal in space. They like to do stuff to sort of get him little creases. They've run him up the middle a little bit more. They have Jalen Wright. They have Ollie Gordon. Wright, I thought, was really good against the Jets as kind of a straight-ahead hammer. It's going to be cold. We know the Dolphins are always deficient in cold weather. Under Tua, they're even worse historically. But they are built right now, weirdly enough, Rich, like the kind of team that at least you would say their game travels, because they're doing the kind of stuff that we've seen good Steelers teams do in the past. They want to run the ball. They want to play defense. They want to let Tua do the things he does well and not ask him to do too much. And they want to get Jalen Waddle involved creatively, and I think they're doing all of those at a pretty high level right now. Much
better than they were at the beginning of the season. The one stat you were talking about, too, I think is 0-5 when it's under 40 degrees. So, you know, that favors the Steelers for sure.
It's going to be bitterly teens, cold right? Monday night. Yeah, it's going to be in the teens. I mean, the Dolphins famously had to go and try to beat the Chiefs a couple years ago when I think Mahomes' helmet shattered. It was so cold. It's not going to be quite like that, but yeah, I just think that, like, their whole strategy, I think Tua hasn't thrown more than 25 passes in a game in over a month. I think their whole strategy of de-emphasizing him, which I know they paid him a lot of money, so it's kind of funny to say this, but trying to let him just do what he does best and manage the game and make a handful of throws has really worked, because up front they've just been able to run the ball at anybody they want. And the other thing, the one thing that might almost be more important in the positive side, Rich, I'll say this quickly, than Watt being out potentially as a negative, is Harmon being back and ready to go. The numbers are jaw-dropping. When Harmon is in the game and in the lineup, the Steelers average 96 rush yards allowed per game. That would be like 6th in the NFL this year. When he doesn't play, they average 191 allowed. That would be worst in the league by 35 yards. So just think about that. That guy is making an enormous difference, almost 100 yards of difference in how they defend the run, whether he's in or out of the game.
Yeah, the problem is he didn't practice today. I know we talked to him earlier in the day before practice, and he said he was optimistic, but we'll see if he practices tomorrow and Saturday. They do have a practice on Saturday. All right, this is our Xfinity tweet of the night. Pitt volleyball team for the 6th straight year. 8 is great, so congratulations to the Pitt volleyball team. Unfortunately, the Penguins have lost their 3rd straight game tonight. Not in a shootout, but they lose straight out in the Star Wars night over at PPG, 4-2. So not a good night for your Penguins, but a good night for the Pitt volleyball team. I also want to get into, before we take any phone calls, give us a call, 412-575-2600. A couple lines open. I want to dive into the Aaron Rodgers interview because I thought it was very telling. Obviously, he stuck up for Mike Tomlin 3 times. I think I counted more around there, 2 or 3 times. I made that a point. And when I think he's very cryptic in things he says, where he talked about how great the veteran receivers are because some of the other receivers essentially don't get open. You know, 9 or 10 people are on the same page. I think that's thrown Roman Wilson under the bus, right? Because Roman Wilson, if you're looking for a backup punt returner, he still was a backup punt returner and should be a better offensive player than Scotty Miller. So is Williams as a backup punt returner. So that I kind of look into that one. And the other thing that he talked about was, cryptically talking about guys on his team don't get into Twitter battles and don't, talk to the news stations and get into fights. And I think that's a direct shot at George Pickens, potentially. I don't know what you think, but that's kind of what I got out of it.
I think Rodgers is obviously the reason that Wilson isn't playing. Mike Tomlin saying Scotty Miller had more experience as a backup punt returner was one of the most obvious, feeble cover excuses I have ever heard in my life, to the point where it was funny. I'm sure Tomlin didn't even think he was fooling anybody. Everyone knows by now that Roman Wilson just isn't putting in the practice reps and the quality of practice that's up to, I think, Rodgers' very notoriously exacting standards. I've heard that Calvin Austin occasionally is in the same boat, but Austin is more productive on game day and more explosive, and so I think that helps. And obviously, I think Rodgers actually likes both of them. This might sound crazy. I think he does like Wilson. He wants Wilson to be good. He's trying to nudge him in that direction, but it hasn't kind of taken yet. And so the real downside of this is yeah, Rodgers might trust a Thielen and an MVS, but you are trading like any potential for explosiveness in exchange for, well, at least our quarterback's comfortable with these guys. And hey, I guess I would take it if it manifests in Thielen working some in-breaking routes over the middle, Valdez-Scantling getting loose for a deep ball, and the Steelers utilizing more of the whole field with their passing game. But right now it's pretty clear that Wilson's in Rodgers' doghouse, and I think the Pickens thing is the correct connection by you there, Rich. DK Metcalf has been underutilized for most of the season, but by and large you haven't heard a peep out of him. And so I think that Rodgers probably gave them some sort of indication in the offseason before he signed, like, hey, if this guy's here, I know he's talented, but I don't really want to come here. And I think that helped precipitate the trade. So I think there's that to consider as well. I think you're right on the money there. And here's the funny thing. The last couple of weeks, the guy making the most headlines, I feel like, with things he said or not said is Rodgers, of all people. So it's like, yeah, there will be occasional little, not much drama, but it'll be on his terms, I guess. I thought, you know what else was telling here? I'll just say this quickly, and I don't think this is me sowing discord because I think these guys do actually respect each other. But I thought it was noticeable that Rodgers just said, yeah, the first play call wasn't supposed to be a deep shot to DK Metcalf, Rich. That matches up with some film people that I have seen break that play down and said it was obviously supposed to be a shorter pass, I think an in-breaker maybe. But it was definitely not supposed to be Rodgers heaving it 50-plus yards in the air to Metcalf, which makes me think he went away from what Arthur Smith wanted. And you know as well as I do, coaches love that early game script and following it to a T. So that, I thought, was noteworthy as well.
He said that Metcalf was petitioning to throw him that, and they had the right coverage. And, you know, he threw some...
Listen, Rodgers going rogue, I'll take it when it yields a 50-yarder and starts a day full of explosive pass plays. That was basically the only reason they won that game.
Yeah, and his that batted down play, his interception down with the knee reverse call, Adam Thielen was wide open down the middle. That could have been a big play, if not a touchdown. So, and that was batted down. And, you know, anyways, the Steelers
I think Rodgers is, by the way, I do think Rodgers is the guy who's driving the we're not throwing to the middle of the field portion of this offense. I don't think that Arthur Smith is deliberately avoiding middle-of-the-field schemes. I think Rodgers is passing up on throws, so I will put that on his plate. I know that's a massive point of frustration for most Steelers fans, and I would say I include myself in that. Like, I just hate that they don't really utilize the middle.
Yeah.
I think that's the quarterback here. I don't think that's the offensive coordinator, and I don't even think it's the head coach, who everyone likes to blame for that particular thing. He trusts Rodgers. He would let Rodgers do what he wanted. And I think Rodgers does not generally want to throw the ball there.
We do have a tweet here from Ryan. He said, do you think wide receivers MVS and Adam Thielen's playing time will continue to increase against Miami? I think so. You know,
they're going to go with the gang that Rodgers trusts, right, Rich? I mean, they've put all their eggs in this basket already. He delivered his best game as a Steeler. It's the most crucial game they've won all year. Like, they're just going to roll with this. And if they... You know what's a wild stat? Here's another one for you, Rich. I came very prepared tonight. Kenneth Gainwell has the highest target share on the team. And by that, I actually mean, to be clear, when he runs a pass route, he gets targeted on the highest percentage of his routes run. So higher target percentage than DK Metcalf as far as routes run to targets, higher than anybody else. Two of the three highest guys on the team are running backs. They either throw go balls to Metcalf or little swing passes way short of the sticks to their backs. You can't win like that in the NFL consistently.
That coincides with the least amount of air yards, too. Let's go out to Lou in Baldwin. How you doing, Lou?
What's up, guys? How you doing?
Thanks for calling.
Hey, what's TJ Watt make per game?
He makes 40-some million per year, so I'm not a math major.
Really? Are you
he makes a lot.
To play a game? To play a game?
Wait, what?
To play a game?
Dak Prescott makes $60 million to play a game. What's your point?
That's it. Watch the football. Goodbye.
Well, I don't even understand the question. He makes $40 million a year. If you're playing 20 games, that's, you know, well, it's a good amount of money. So, I mean, he makes a lot of money.
I'm surprised Lou was able to pick up the phone and dial properly.
Yeah, I mean, he's making probably $2 million a game, I guess, right? I mean,
he's not having a top drawer season. I mean, independently of a very scary situation right now, he is not having anywhere near the kind of season to justify the $41 million, particularly when the guy he desperately, and we know that this is true, wanted to be paid more than on an annual basis, Myles Garrett, is going to set the sack record and is having one of the most outrageous defensive individual seasons of all time.
He's going to win Defensive Player of the Year, and the year that he did win, Watt should have won that year. I still contend that, but Chris, we were talking about Aaron Rodgers' comments, and I forgot to bring up the best one when he basically said Phillip Rivers wasn't gifted. That was a little shot at him, but did he say he wasn't gifted? What did he say? He wasn't as gifted as a player.
He said he wasn't like the most naturally gifted or athletic guy, but I'm pretty sure that that's just one of those things that completely is a warped perspective statement, because I'm pretty sure there are videos out there of Phillip Rivers, who's like a big dude, 6'5", doing windmill dunks early in his career, just goofing around. So yes, no one has probably in the history of football had the pure arm talent of Aaron Rodgers, but I do find it funny that he looks at a guy like Rivers and he goes, yeah, I mean, he's not the most gifted in the world or anything.
Yeah. But I bring it up because I just saw EA Sports and Madden 26. Did you see what they did to Rivers? They made him obese. He looks like he's 100 pounds overweight.
He's put on some weight.
Yeah.
He's put on some weight. They should give him a gray beard, even though he doesn't have one. He's a grandpa. He's his oldest kid, because I think he had a kid when he was 20 or 21.
Oh,
He and his wife have been married for a very long time. I think his oldest child already has their own first child, so he's a grandpa already. Somebody's pap is going to go out there and play quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts.
That could be a first. I don't know. All right. So how do the Steelers win this game? I think they win. I got them winning 27-17 just because of the weather. I think is going to be a factor with or without T.J. Watt, and I don't think T.J. Watt plays.
I don't think Watt plays. I hope Harmon plays for their sake. I don't feel awesome about this. I've got something like 23-20 Steelers, but that is almost me falling into the trap of, the Dolphins never win in cold weather, 2-0-5. I think the Steelers win, but they might not cover with the 3.5 hook.
I like the Steelers' remaining schedule, though. I think they make it to the postseason. They got to win 2 of those AFC games because the Ravens have, the second hardest schedule ending the season.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, I think the Ravens' schedule is going to keep them out, and I think the Steelers – I think if the Ravens lose this week, which I think they absolutely could, if the Ravens lose this week, I think the Steelers are going to cakewalk to this thing because I think they might shut Jackson down because he's badly hurt.
Yeah, they might end it before that game at home to finish the season. All right, thanks a lot, Chris. Appreciate your time. See you same time, same place next week. And if you want to get your opinion heard, don't forget to tune in to the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call tonight at 10:35 on KDKA+. So give us a call at 412-575-2600. We do it every night after the 10 o'clock news. For CBS News Pittsburgh, I'm Rich Walsh.